Well, bowling fans, can you guess where we're bowling today? That's right, Castle Lanes and Racine is the place. Dwight Albrecht joining me, Spare Time Pro Shop, owner, operator, and all-around good guy. Alumni Youth Doubles here, little unique format. We're just coming off our Adult Youth Doubles tournament. Now we've got some alumni. They get paired up after the fact with youth bowlers. So there's some teams out there that are pretty unique today. We've got one match with a brother bowling against a sister on another team. Got another match with a boyfriend bowling with his girlfriend. And what can I say? A lot of fun and probably a lot of strikes since it's Castle Lanes.
Absolutely. Great pin carry. That's going to be a house shot. They have TV experience. This should be a high-scoring day.
Absolutely. So make sure you come back. Keep calm during the commercial break. We'll be back from Castle Lanes in just a moment, so please make sure you stay tuned. I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in a Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too. Our opening match, semifinal number 1 from Castle Lanes and Racine for our Alumni Youth Doubles event. Dwight, Stephanie Schwartz, very familiar face to us on TV, and a very unique situation for her because she's bowling against her brother on the other team today.
Yeah, one word, Phil, for that. Awkward.
No doubt.
I'm sure that they've been in this situation before.
Yeah. Stephanie and David, both youth league bowlers here at Castle Lanes back in the day. Well, now with David, he's an adult because you'll see now it's an alumni youth, and David is the alumni partner for his team. First timer here, Savannah Giroux on TV. Bowls at a Guitarmson's Recreation Center in Kenosha.
Beautiful strike out of Stephanie throwing. Looks like she's throwing her sink house shot that we have out, so I expect obviously they're going to hit the pocket a lot today, Phil.
Absolutely. They're going to have to still make, you still got to make pretty good shots. Phil doesn't let you get away with a ton of bad shots out here. But good shot there by Savannah for first shot on TV ever.
First time I had a chance to watch her, Phil. Very standard four-step game. Another one, Phil, that I noticed that doesn't have a lot of slide at the foul line. She kind of plants the last step. We see that a lot on a more of a beginner type of level bowler, where obviously if you watch the Schwartzes, you'll see that they have a fairly good amount of slide on that last step. What can you say about Dave? Very free-flowing, going to the line. Great break, not to leave the 7-10.
And you can see not happy there. Styling those high five. Look at those three right there. All four bowlers styling high five gear jerseys today. So got to make it for me in the opening, styling my Keep Calm and Bull Castle t-shirt. But thanks to Phil and Patty Onko for passing the shirt along, and thanks to Todd Molbeck for the sponsorship from High Five Gear for these bowlers. And a little stick at the line for David, and those rush spares can come back to haunt you, especially in a high-scoring day like today.
Correct. Yep, you could tell right away that he lost his footing, and that little bit is all it takes for you to miss your mark, and ball falls off to the right at the very end. If the lane was about 6 inches shorter, he would have made it.
Most likely. Andy Glass stepping up, league bowler here at Castle Lanes. He's bowled some of our adult youth events before, and towards the end of our first season of Youth Challenge events 7 years ago. Hard to believe we've been around that long. Made one of those. Didn't make TV, but great shot for his first attempt out there.
Very nice game. A lot of rotation at the bottom of the swing. Very leveraged, high rev rate bowler. Makes it look effortless.
Well, that 300 game award always in jeopardy out here for the TV shows, especially at Castle Lanes. Great Lakes Bowling provides their $300 award for bowling against their GLB1 pins, and Phil Onko, the $100 award he provides his league bowlers for a 300 game is up for grabs today. And wow, if they carry strikes like that, Dwight, we're gonna have to get the checkbooks out.
That's called great pin carry right there, Phil. Four and actually a pin rolls around. We have to find out what it is. It looks like, oh God, that could have been
the 6 pin, yeah.
Into the 4 into the 7, the domino theory, I call it.
Yeah, and she didn't even see it happening.
Yeah, those are the strikes. She couldn't believe it. Double take.
Yeah.
Those are the strikes you want to get, Phil.
Exactly, and those are the strikes that if you're your opponent, you just got to sit there, refocus, and throw a good shot on your own. Let's see what Savannah can do here to bounce back. Looks nice out of her hand, and 10 back.
Beautiful. I mean, down and in game. Doesn't cover a lot of boards. Not going to get in a lot of trouble that way.
No, not at all.
But enough rotation to score, to strike.
So, looking forward to bowling high school this year down in Kenosha. And she's already qualified for junior gold in 2014 in Buffalo, thanks to her efforts in Detroit this past year. So, rapid improvement for Savannah.
Yeah, and Phil, she's only been bowling for 8 years. She started, obviously, she's 15 now and started at 7. She already has quite a few achievements at 278 for a high game and 757 for a high series, Phil.
And David Schwartz, way too many 300s to count. Great year college bowling this last year. Robert Morris, his teammate Ryan Zagar, you'll see him in the next match with his girlfriend, Katie Zwiefhofer, as his partner. So, yeah, the seedings were worked out kind of unique and well for some of these bowlers today. And
what a doubles team
others,
that is. Holy
for
cow.
others, not so much. So, a little more pressure could be for Ryan and Katie. We'll see how that handles the next match. Andy with another nice stroke, and he kicks that 10 out.
Wow, very powerful game. When that ball comes through, it just snaps that 6 off to 10.
So, once again, Andy, league bowler here, and these bowlers all know the shot. And even right now, Savannah's only bowled here in her high school matches and a couple of tournaments, but when you got a partner like David, you know he got her lined up pretty quick in practice as well.
And you can obviously see, Phil, that there's not a lot of slide out of
Andy,
Andy also, and I think a lot of this, Phil, could be obviously the synthetic approaches.
So, it was a little, it's a little humid today as we're taping this, and sometimes they get a little tacky as things go along, and that's why
what a great shot there.
Ring 10, but that's why they always make those great shoes with changeable soles, changeable heels, and
that's the reason why they make it right there, because your approach conditions can change just as much as the lane conditions, especially when you're on synthetics. I don't see it as much, Phil, on wood as I do synthetic approaches. Those are just so much more sensitive to the slide.
See what Stephanie can do,
and to the weather.
See what Stephanie can do here. Covers that 10 pin up, getting into the commercial break. And we'll be back with the rest of our opening match here from Castle Lanes for the Alumni Youth Doubles in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned. Pick up the latest issue of Wisconsin Bowler Magazine, now available in your local bowling center. If your local center does not carry Wisconsin Bowler Magazine, ask them to. It's free to them and free to you. Back to Castle Lanes and Racine for the Alumni Youth Challenge Series doubles. Savannah Giroux stepping up. Team's in a little bit of a hole right now, but they're on a nice working double here, Dwight.
Well, she's been perfect so far, Phil, playing that down and in line, but it looks like she cut that one big time short, and meaning that she pulled it early, and obviously she paid the price. The ball tried to fall back. I thought for sure it was going to go high through the nose, but it fell back to leave the 4 and 9. At least it's a makeable split. Kind of a bad break, too. Boy, that flew right around the 4 real quick.
Yeah, these pins here at Castle Lane's definitely active. We've seen in plenty of the TV shows we've had here over the 7 years that the Anko family has hosted us here, and she's got a pretty good chance of making this. I'd probably say 40% chance, but no, that was just getting the one and getting out of the way. But right now, when you're down by almost 40 pins, I'm sorry, when you're down by 18 pins, it could bite you in the backside.
Correct. especially with Andy and Stephanie pretty lined up, Phil. I mean, the only thing I can see them leaving would be 9 counts. They both got a very good look to the pocket.
David here, 2 shots in the pocket, but that 10-pin miss in the second frame is what got his team in an early hole.
Yes.
The adult bowlers here, the Alumni, bowling for merchandise prizes with the kids. We can't give them cash, obviously, because that would be against youth bowling regulations. So we have all the bowlers here bowling for merchandise. Winning team today on the show today. We'll get some couple of bowling balls. And our second place team will get a couple of Eileen's bowling buddies, one of the nicest training aids out there nowadays. You think David knew that shot was good out of his hand?
Yeah. Just a wonderful game to watch him bowl. I mean, he's so free and smooth going to the line. It's just like he uses such little effort to throw the ball. He could bowl all day watching something like Dave's form.
Well,
and he a little bit more muscled, a little shorter backswing height, but boy, he really gets on it at the bottom.
Yep. 4-pin. No, he's been working on his spares. He bowled the PBA summer swing. We saw him quite a few times out there. Not next to Van McNeil, maybe in the standings, but sometimes across the center from him. And he learned a lot from that. One thing he learned, just like Van, is spares count a lot while you're bowling a PBA event. I don't think we'll see him miss this.
Again, every time you leave a single pin spare and you miss it, that's at least 11 pins off the score. And they talk about it all the time. They give you that stat when you watch the Pro Tour. That week spare count for the pros, and you always see it around 98 to 99%. So there's a reason why the pros make the top 5. That's the difference between getting a check and not, is the spare shooting. Absolutely.
44-pin lead here for Stephanie and Andy, and how about that? Going to maintain that lead with a great kick of the 10-pin.
Wonderful roll in the ball. She's just got a beautiful amount of side rotation and tilt, and then it gets into a nice forward roll right before it hits the pins. Just a beautiful game.
You don't think there's too many colleges right now chasing Stephanie as a high school senior to bowl in their collegiate programs?
You think?
I'm surprised we didn't see more college coaches here today at this event.
And there's that spike slide foot.
Great shot, Savannah. Great shot, gets the 10-pin out.
She also has an interesting start, Phil. If you watch her stance, she kind of raises her left foot, her left heel up off the ground. It's almost like a trigger step to get her going.
And we've seen that from quite a few girls over the years. Yes. They get the little flex knee and they get just the toe on the ground and that left foot. And for some reason, that's, as you said, that's kind of their trigger for them to get into their approach and delivery.
Never see it out of a man, but boy, you see it a lot out of the girls or ladies that I coach.
That was a manly shot right there on lane 9 by David Schwartz.
Yes. You want to talk about lively pin carry? You mentioned it earlier. I mean, that was just shrapnel on the back end.
Well, they're not done yet. It is a 34-pin lead for the
head pin flying across the deck.
Schwartz and Glass team here. So we'll see what Andy can do to get the lead back out to 44. Nice shot there by Andy. Andy gets the 10.
Loves to play a little bit more of that inside angle. And again, I mean, when you watch him, I mean, he deserves to give that summer series and then the tour look in a chance. Very powerful game. With all that power, Phil, you still got to know where it's going. And he has a pretty good idea of where it's going. I'd have probably his rev rate in the middle 4s, which is almost, you have to have that on the tour right now.
Yep. And as Van talked about, the thing that dinged them the most when they were out there were spare games, and I didn't see Andy miss too many spares today at all, if any. And Stephanie should have no problem covering this up, not to throw a hopeful jinx out there at her, but she's another one. She's won so many tournaments over the years. Last year's Sean Yonan champion, and the reason why she won that Sean Yonan title on TV, covered her spares when her opponent missed them.
She has great rotation on the ball for the ladies that I have called on this show. But yet at the same time, she doesn't hook it a lot, Phil. She goes very, very straight for all that side rotation. And again, the straighter, I mean, all the pros on the turf, you ever watch a Chris Barnes in person, Barnes, I mean, he puts a lot of turn on the ball, but he hooks the ball very little. And that's what Stephanie does.
Yeah, and you're seeing that more with college players. You're seeing that pretty much with David right now as compared to where maybe he was a high school freshman and wanted to hook the lane. Now he just got done with his freshman year of college. Plays the lanes much straighter, and a great shot there by Savannah, keeping her team somewhat close.
Yep, that closes it a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to take a strikeout here by David Schwartz. That would give their team 234, and that would force kind of a bad count by 18. Andy.
Got to fill 18 in the 10th, correct.
Let's see what David can do here. Looks like he made a little move with his feet, so he might be thinking that lane's breaking down a hair. Moved a little bit farther to the left. Nice shot out of his hand, but is he going to get a roll out of that? Not quite.
And that's interesting because last time he was on that, Laney just ripped the rack and just sawed the head pin across the deck. So it'd be interesting that he tried to actually adjust when he had, I thought, a pretty good look to the pocket. And one of the rare times, obviously, at Castle, you actually see a 10-pin left because the pin carry is so good here.
covers it up, but that's going to get them out of here. That's going to advance Stephanie Schwartz and Andy Glass to the championship match today. A couple of the bowling balls on the line. Kids already won their scholarship money in the singles part of the tournament before we paired them up. Same thing with the alumni. Alumni were able to win cash because the doubles part of the tournament doesn't happen until TV. So guess what, everybody? We're legal. Deal with it. 213 for Savannah and David.
Yeah, that one.
Good effort good effort for being paired in. Getting paired together on TV. First time you've kind of really met each other. It's not always the easiest thing to bowl.
Yeah, you look back at that missed 10 pin and then the 4-9, which she could not have left, and that could have been an even match. Take the 20 pins back to it, and boy, you're almost talking down to the last ball.
Well, let's see what Andy does here. Gets that whole left side of the rack pretty much destroyed.
You can see that the light pocket hit here, Phil, really carries very well.
We'll see if he makes a move on this next shot, because this is the kind of time, I mean, you won the match, you're coming back for the championship. It's your first time under the lights as Andy. Do you try to find something knowing the lanes are going to change while you're sitting on the sidelines for a match?
The whole game he's had a good look. I doubt he's going to have much change. They might dry up a little bit with the lights, and there he tugged it a little bit and it took off. So that might give him something to think about for at least the next game for an adjustment.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee they're going to end up back on these same two lanes bowling when they come back, because it's going to be a coin toss.
Yep.
And they could end up getting switched by their opponents depending on who wants to bowl the 9th and who wants to bowl the 10th frame. So there will be some strategy involved going into the final match thanks to the coin toss. And kind of unimportant there for 234 to 213. We got Stephanie Schwartz and Andy Glass getting in the championship match, and Dwight Albrecht and I will be back from Castle Lanes with semifinal number 2 of the Youth Challenge Series Alumni Youth Doubles in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned. I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in the Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too. Semi-final number 2, ready to go here from Castle Lanes and Racine. Remember, everybody, keep calm and bowl Castle. Gotta love that. See it on the employee shirts here today as we were taping the event. Jenny Rettmuller, second time on TV with us. Last time, she was 15 years old. Oh. Now she's 22. So, yeah, we've been around for 7 years thanks to our friends on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. And once again, you talk about spiking the foot. Jenny's had trying to get over that for the last couple of years or so. Been working with her a little bit by email, by video coaching, and she had a pretty good, awesome effort today and made it to TV as the alumni wonderful. For Brandon.
Yeah, wonderful. I think a lot of it, Phil, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I've had this discussion a lot with a lot of the shoe manufacturers that are out there, and she obviously you can see she's wearing SSTs. And I think a lot of it that the people don't understand is it's not necessarily the sole that's the problem in the slide, it's the heel. And the heel is the rubber part, and that's what creates the break. And if you don't learn to slide early on and you plant right from the beginning, that stays with you for a long, long time. I'm a big advocate of putting actually leather on the heel.
Well, that way too, you get the longer slide, you get a longer power stroke through, where a lot of bowlers we see that plant the foot at the line, they have early timing and they can't get a great amount of leverage on the ball.
Exactly, and then they also pull through with the shoulder, because they're coming to a dead stop with the lower part of the body. So what's left to throw the shot? The shoulder. And Katie has a beautiful slide. Yeah. If you watch her feet.
Yep. It's not real long, but there is slide there. And then once the ball gets through that power stroke at the bottom of the swing, has no problem getting it through. And a little bit of a skid stop there, and she pulled the ball.
Yeah, I saw that right away too. And look at that. I mean, again, that could be the humidity and it could be the synthetic approaches. I mean, but going in to this, I would have to have Katie and Ryan as the leaders here.
Oh, no
the favorites.
Doubt. I mean, home center for both of them. Both grew up in the great youth program they hear at Castle Lanes.
But anything can happen in a one-game match.
Katie and Ryan both styling those high 5 gear jerseys, and a little bit lazy. Going to roll the 2 from behind. Not quite.
Could have been a little bit in the oil. And obviously with a house shot, you're going to have that artificial hold. So the ball's going to fall back if you happen to pull it a little bit. And obviously with him going through his arm swing, he knows he didn't like that shot.
Yeah, and all these youth bowlers today, and even Katie being the alumni, little unique rule, being 21 years old, she could bowl either division. She bowled the qualifying portion of the tournament as a youth bowler, so she could win the scholarship money for education at UW-Whitewater. And then decided she had a high enough qualifying score. She beat out a couple of the other alumni women and made the TV show. So here's some good bloodlines in this family. Brandon Biondo, father Vince, and mom Joey, both awesome bowlers, former Team USAers themselves. Brandon's going to be making that Team USA someday, no doubt about that, with a great shot there.
All bowlers have great ball speed, Phil, typically also have very fast feet. Next time Brandon is up, watch his footwork. I mean, he really generates his speed from his feet. A lot of times when I have elderly come into the shop and they was just like, oh, I throw the ball so slow. Well, what happens, Phil, when you get old? You lose your legs. And legs are so important and your feet are so important in generating that speed in bowling. And obviously you can take a look at Jenny and you can see that her footwork is very, very slow to the line. Look at her ball speed. Her ball speed is also a little on the slower side. So like I said, next time Brandon comes up, really keep an eye on his feet and you'll see that natural ball speed is generated by those fast, quick steps.
Yeah, and a little bit of a pull there by Jenny. If Jenny does make a miss, it's usually through the nose because of how she spikes at the line, and she's got a little bit of a crooked slide that we've been fixing as well. You can see the ankle kind of turns out there.
Yes.
But we've been working on that.
Very hard to break.
Yeah, and she was having some knee pain because of that, because you get the tendons and everything pulling, and we've been working on shortening her steps a little bit, which does bring down the ball speed, but if you're bowling without pain, that's usually a lot better than trying to keep things going the other way and bowling in pain.
Many years ago when I got into coaching, I'll never forget one of my colleagues, Tom Lemko, says, I like to coach from the feet up. And I always remember that to this day. And you see on the great bowlers like Katie, like Ryan, they have such great foundation to their footwork, Phil. You see it on the Pro Tour also. All the top ladies and the men out there. I mean, we can throw a whole smorgasbord of names out there, but they all have great footwork.
Well, let's see if they can get a double here, get this match close to back to even. Looks like Ryan made a little move to the right with his feet after that second frame 2-pin. And is he going to get that 10 out? Now we got it out of there.
Much better ball reaction. Very, very solid at the line. Head and shoulders are so quiet when he lets it go, but yet he puts so much turn on the ball.
Yep. And it's so effortless. I mean, a lot of work. We saw David Schwartz last match. Ryan, both members of the Robert Morris team. They won the Intercollegiate Team Championships this past year. And, they just got their games tweaked by Dale Lehman down there and the rest of the coaching staff at Robert Morris. And you can just see the improvement that's been made in their games.
Again, look how fast those feet are. And that's what just gives them that free-flowing, and boy, just 10 back every shot.
Ooh, that 8-pin was kind of teasing you there a little bit.
But just flush pocket. And again, you can talk about the great, the bloodlines here, but I mean, just see it's interesting to watch the kids, how much of the parents are in the kids in their physical game.
Yep.
The old cliche is the apple don't fall far from the tree.
And 15 years old for Brandon, not too shabby.
No, not at all.
And he's already got a couple of U Challenge Series titles under his belt from the fall of last year. Looking to get another one today. And a great shot there by Jenny getting into the commercial break for this game. Rhett Mueller and Biondo up by 11 pins, and we'll be back from Castle Lanes for the rest of semifinal number 2 in just a moment. Pins for our Essential Bowling Concepts telecast are provided by Great Lakes Bowling, offering services, supplies, and capital equipment to the bowling industry for over 38 years. GreatLakesBowling.com. Look out for the low-flying waterfowl, Dwight. Watch out over the lanes here at Castle Lanes. The geese and the ducks. It's just a beautiful, beautiful bowling center here with all the extra stuff. It's like bowling in somebody's Northwoods cabin.
That's what I was just going to say, Phil. Well, if you're bowling bad, you can always get out the shotgun.
Exactly. Take some
different sport up.
Yeah, what's the bag limit here? I will have to ask the Yonkos what the bag limit here in a day is for the waterfowl. But a great shot there by Katie getting out of the commercial break. Knocks the lead of her opponents down to 1 pin, and they can take the lead here. if Ryan can throw a strike.
It's just interesting that they're avoiding the swing shot and they're all playing the oil line. You know, they were playing that down and in oil line shot, trying to avoid overswinging it. I would assume that if you obviously overswing it, it's going to jump and take off early.
And you can just see right there that little bit of baby hook on the end for Katie and for Ryan. I mean, they're both basically hooking it the same amount. Katie's taking a little straighter approach to the front part of the lane, but you just watch that little baby hook in the back end, and they're just ripping racks. And it's the same thing with Jenny and Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of hook. You'll see Brandon playing that very tight line, just like Ryan is. And these kids are smart. These kids realize that it's not about how much the lane hooks. It's about what you do on the back end. Mm-hmm. And when you're shredding racks like that, I wish I had these kids' knowledge when I was 15 like Brandon, or 22 like Jenny, or 21 like Katie.
I just think you have, at least with Brandon, just great genes and obviously great coaching. But there's very little bit that I see for 15 years old, fault-wise on his game, just extremely free-flowing to the line. And again, we talk about it, that effortless revs and turn. It's just beautiful to watch as a coach.
Yeah. Jenny, came out of the Gutermson Recreation Center program down in Kenosha. Her mom's the head coach down there, and she had a year of college bowling under her belt as well.
The big thing I try to work on with her, and maybe she can run this past her coach, coming from another coach myself, is I would try to have her do a lot of what I call hands at the pants drill or hands at the side, and really try to work on just taking 4 walking steps and then try to just really focus on a nice aggressive slide. She doesn't have a lot of trail leg swinging around her body either, so we could really work on getting that hip and that trail leg to swing around her body to get that hip to clear, as the trail leg is about a 6:30 angle. You'd like to see it about 7:30 to 8 o'clock for a trail leg. But the biggest thing for her is just really reestablishing that good footwork.
See what Katie can do here. Get her team the lead.
And you can see with Katie, she really swings that trail leg around her body beautifully and gets that hip to clear, and that's so important for promoting that inside-out trajectory of the ball.
You can see in the background there in the black t-shirt, Red Chapman, head coach. Well, one of the head coaches here for the youth program at Castle Lanes. He's the head coach of the Racine Park program. Katie won a state championship as part of the Racine Park girls program. Also, Stephanie won another one. So, I mean, they always have a great program coming out of Castle Lanes here, whether it's for youth, whether it's for the high schools. And one of the high schools to watch out for this year that bowls out of Castle Lanes, Walden III High School, newer charter high school out of Racine, and they have a pretty strong program this year. They can make some waves in District 3 once that high school season starts in December. Keep an eye out for them as well.
Well, talking about strong programs, look at what obviously it turned out with these youth and now our young adults. And very close match here, Phil.
Wow, and that was just a leak to the right. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised that it didn't recover, that it wouldn't come back. You know, but he did miss it a little to the right. It's a makeable split, but obviously, it comes at a bad time. Yeah. Obviously, with the match so close.
And he sees a lot of this during the college season. I mean, these college kids bowl on Pro Tour type conditions, World Championship type conditions. They're never bowling on easy stuff. This is probably the easiest shot Ryan's going to see until next April when he's not bowling in college.
Yeah, and on the replay we saw it real close. He looked down at his hand, so obviously, and a great try, but obviously he didn't like it off his hand. So obviously it was just an errant shot off the hand.
Hey, Spare Time Pro Shop. Who knows where that is?
I do.
Any specials going on right now, Dwight?
Well, it's
beginning of the season.
Well, yeah, that's it, Phil. It's the beginning of the season, and obviously, sure, we always have specials, but it's the biggest thing is bowlers are coming in and seeing what the new lines of balls are for the year. That's the biggest thing, and there's a lot of good stuff that are out there right now. Rotor Grip Wreckers are selling like crazy, and Belmo threw that ball in the summer series a couple different times when he was on TV. So Rotor Grip and Storm obviously are still continuing to have a big year. Brunswick and Deviate are also doing very well. But yes, I mean, we have, I believe, 16 or 17 new releases already, and we will have obviously 5 or 6 more coming in November. So a lot of new equipment out there.
No doubt about that. Yeah. Brunswick having some good regional success recently with Dave Barris winning the Regional Players Invitational.
How big is that?
Labor Day weekend, so we want to congratulate Dave on that.
Absolutely.
He's made a couple of our shows in the past as well.
Yeah, I mean, he won $6,000, and he gets an entry to the World Series of Bowling out of it.
And he gets to be on the Regional Players Invitational ESPN show as well, so make sure you set your DVRs when that's on.
And he's a nice guy, and that's the thing, is we're happy to see good things happen to good people, and Dave is not a big emotional guy and keeps his emotions intact. So, I mean, it's just a great pro's pro. So we're real happy to see him have success, and now hopefully when he can get out to Vegas, he can make one of the shows.
Great shot there by Katie. Once again, just like last match, it's up to somebody to step up in the 10th frame and strike out to put pressure on the other team. Last match it was David Schwartz. Now it's Ryan Zagar.
Yeah, Ryan is an absolutely must-strike situation here. Jenny and Brandon, I mean, have it pretty much in hand if he doesn't strike here. And a week 10, and that pretty much is Katie by the door for them.
Yeah, that is game over. There's no doubt about that. Their maximum score right now with a strike, a spare and a strike, 205, and Brandon doesn't even have to step up in the 10th frame and other than get a few pins. So their maximum score right now is 249.
And Ryan doesn't show much emotion, and a little kind of like clenching his fist. He was very unhappy, I think, if you ask him later how he bowled today.
I'll tell you what, it's your home center. I mean, he's grown up here, Katie's grown up here. You got to admit, a little pressure. I mean, Katie and Ryan have been dating for a couple of years now. You're bowling with your girlfriend. You want to, win. You want the moral victory. Yeah, you want the moral victory for yourself and being a couple. And I'm sure they'll sit down over dinner after it's done, analyze everything,
and that's all you can do when you don't win.
And both get better. They're not going to get down on this. I've known both these bowlers for a long time.
They're both too good.
Exactly.
Yeah, just never got the right look to get the 10 out.
So 204 for Zwiefelhofer and Zagar, Team Z. Why didn't I think of that at the beginning of the match? I got to get these.
Missing your calling, Phil.
I got to get the sports cliche book out or something pretty soon.
Oh my God.
Brandon here looking to go 5 for 5. Ooh, and how about that? The bottom of the 6 hits the bottom of the 10.
Impressive game.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, not much you could say other than impressive.
Well, let's look at it this way. Championship match here. We're going to have Rhett Mueller and Biondo, kind of the away team again. Both bowlers don't bowl league here. We have Andy Glass and Stephanie Schwartz, both league bowlers here at Castle Lanes. You got to give that little bit of advantage to Stephanie and Andy, home field advantage.
I'd agree. There's no doubt about it. If Brandon stays perfect, I think it could be a very, very close match. Now he's trying a ball change. Just what you talk about, Phil, match in hand. Let's see what Gold IQ can do for him.
So moves a little bit farther left, swings a little farther right, and there's that overreaction he didn't want to see. Brandon Biondo and Jenny Rittmuller getting to the championship match with a 248 to 204 victory. They'll be facing Stephanie Schwartz and Andy Glass from Castle Lanes of Racine. Make sure you join Dwight Albrecht and I back in just a couple of moments for that championship match.
I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in the Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too.
Bowling fans, you wait all day for it. The championship match here for the Alumni Youth Challenge Series doubles coming to you from Castle Lanes. Once again, thanks to Phil and Patty Onkel for all their support for our 7 years of Youth Challenge Series events we had with them. And thanks again to Time Warner Cable SportsChannel for hosting us into our 7th season. And Dwight, Stephanie Schwartz's team won the coin toss. They're staying on their respective lanes for this championship match. And we'll see what Rhett Mueller and Biondo do when they step up in a moment.
And they're going to stay on their lane that they won their match on.
Well, let's see here, because we'll see who wants to finish the 10th frame. And it looks like they've switched lanes because, Jenny's going to bowl the odd-numbered frames, and Brandon wants the ability to finish.
Interesting.
The only thing that's better for them is that they do get to finish before Andy and Stephanie do. So... they did.
How it's all going to play out here.
Yeah, they did get a shadow ball on each lane after Andy and Stephanie received their practice balls coming back on. And a great shot after moving lanes by Jenny there to just leave a 10-pin.
Going into this match, the thing that kept going through my head was, what did you think it was going to take to win, Phil? And I had the number 230 in mind. I think both of them are strong teams. They're both coming off, I think, 240 wins. So I think it's going to be at least 230, 240 to win this one.
Yeah.
I think this could be pretty close. Who stays out of trouble, who makes the spares, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And yeah, the first match, Stephanie and Andy won with 234. Last game, 248 for Rhett Mueller and Biondo.
Yeah, I think you could see that again here, but out of both of them.
And Brandon was, other than that kind of insignificant shot when he changed balls in the 10th frame, was 6 for 6. Yeah. I don't see that changing anytime soon. He seemed pretty locked, and even with his one shadow ball he got. And of course, as soon as I say that, he comes up a little light, leaves a 2-pin, but we've seen lane 9 play just that hair tighter.
Yeah, I was just going to
say
that's exactly what happened to Ryan the whole last game.
Yeah,
you know, it got him frustrated. He had that little bit of like an artificial hold.
And even a little bit with David in the opening match with David Schwartz. He had a couple of 2-pins during that match as well, and a weak 10 that ended up eventually costing him the game.
Correct. And I think he had a pocket 7-10 in there too.
That fell, yeah, the 7 fell late. So we'll have to see how things go here. Andy's got to be feeling pretty confident, though. He's still on lane 10.
Yes, and he's got, at least the first match had a very good look. Correct, but I think this could be a pretty high-scoring match.
Yeah, and he wanted to step up and be the one to finish the 10th frame, so...
Wow.
You know, that's a lot of pressure on you.
It is.
Especially you're bowling with somebody you know from league there, obviously. I mean, Stephanie and David's dad, Ken, bowls league here as well as at Castle Lanes, and bowls in leagues with Andy, and there's bowling balls and Eileen Bowling Buddy on the line here, so still prizes out there. It's not just for pride here on the Youth Challenge Series.
And a fast start out of Stephanie and Andy.
Great shot there. Mixing it up. The Steve Grabowski as the 5-pin went to the right. Got to get Steve out there every once in a while.
On your tombstone.
No, he's it might be for him. No, he's bowling.
The Grabowski.
And a little light. Maybe we're seeing some carry down.
House,
especially with house patterns. The amount of oil that's in the middle of the lane on a house pattern, sometimes it's a little more conductive to having carry down than flatter sport type patterns.
And I think I really firmly believe that's what gave Ryan Fitz his last game on that lane. And he thought maybe he had enough power to overpower that carry down.
Well, gets it well out to the right and doesn't quite get it.
That looked pretty good about 40 feet down the lane, Phil, and then, boy, did that thing take off when it read friction.
Yeah, caught the dry and just across the 2-4 and not far enough over on the 4-pin to get to the 8.
And just like that, Jenny and Brandon are like, okay, now we're even match or ahead.
So depending on what Jenny can do here, get a strike on the board. Don't think she made any adjustment off that 10-pin. No, it looks like she's starting right around 24th board with her feet. A little over the top with that swing. You just see the wrist kind of come over the top of the ball.
And caught from the shot before, caught a little bit more of the oil, and that's what made it skid and push past the pocket. The shot before, she got it about a board or two to the right of that, caught the friction, and even though she left a weak 10, it still at least came up to the pocket. So she wants to get lined up. I'd move her a board or two right with her feet.
Well, she made the 2-8 in the first match she was on today, in the first frame, so she knows how to get cross lane on these spares. You just got to avoid that chop on the 5-pin, and that's right on. I thought it was going to hook a little bit more.
Yep, again, not a lot of revs there, so the ball's not going to overjump when it reads friction. But great cover, big spare.
Yep, and keeps the lead 1 pin for Biondo and Rettmuller.
And now let's see if Brandon makes that adjustment for the 2-pin fill. Either I got to believe he's going to move a board or two right with his feet. And clearly you can see the ball's farther right.
So took advantage of some dry out there, moved everything a little farther to the right, and that's confidence and knowledge. That's a combination of the two.
I think that's just so impressive. I just keep shaking my head. 15 years old.
Yeah.
At 15 years old, really?
Yeah.
I wasn't anywhere near that level, or even the mental adjustments that are being made. I mean, just it's unbelievable how good they are at such an early age.
Well, Stephanie Schwartz made her first TV show with us when she was 14. Ryan Zagar, 6 seasons ago, made his first TV show with us when he was 14. So it just shows the talent that's out there with a lot of these bowlers nowadays. It's just amazing, and it's great coaching, great youth program here at Castle Lanes, great youth programs at other centers like GRC in Kenosha, and Classic Lanes in Greenfield, Classic Lanes Menominee Falls.
And great genes from the parents, too.
Absolutely. Let's see what Stephanie can do here, getting into our last commercial break of the day. And, of course, it's 10 back for her to get her team back into the lead by 9 pins. Dwight and I will be back from Castle Lanes in just a moment. This is going to be an exciting championship finish. The Top Gun Sweeper Series is here. 6 monthly sweepers leading to our March 30th grand final, which will be taped for future telecast on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. The first sweeper is at Classic Lanes Greenfield on Sunday, October 6th at 1 p.m., and the entry fee for each sweeper during the series is only $30.
Win a monthly sweeper, and you're automatically seated into the TV show at the Grand Finals. Be sure to check your local bowling center for entry forms, or you can go to facebook.com/TopGunSweepers for more information. I'm waiting to hear a wolf howling in the distance here at Castle Lanes. Like being up in the Northwoods, bowling in the Northwoods here at Castle Lanes.
God.
If you've never been to Castle Lanes, make the trip one of these days. You will not believe a bowling center can be this gorgeous and score this well.
I've known Phil for over 30 years. He kind of got into the bowling end of it when I did early on also, and he's always been a first-class guy and does things first class, and it shows in his center.
And it shows his happy bowlers, and good luck trying to get in the league here at Castle Lanes for the fall, because everything's pretty much full. They'll find you. I mean, you want to get into open bowl, you want to get in for parties, you want to get all kinds of stuff, give them a call here at Castle Lanes, 262-633-1199, and they'll fit you in for anything. Fundraisers, parties, just open bowling with your family. Great time for everyone. And is he going to get the 10 out? Brandon with a little bit of a weak 10 there, and just didn't get it as wide as he did the frame before. He couldn't get that angle generated.
This reminds me so much of Ryan Zagar bowling, on that lane. Same, type of reaction and same type of result, Phil.
Yeah, you just watch that ball deflect when it hits the 1-3. Gets almost right into the 6-pin spot. It deflected so much. But
so as a bowler, you got to make that adjustment for that carry down then. Soften the speed a touch, keep moving right a little bit, and try to get that ball to face up to the pocket.
Dead even right now between the two teams after 5.5 frames. But Schwartz and Glass can take a 10-pin lead if they can build off the double they have. So spare shooting is key right now. Jenny and Brandon, they've filled 6 frames, 4 spares and 2 strikes, and because of the one open in there for Schwartz and Glass, it's an even game. Not anymore though.
He's just been Joe consistent all day and just knows what his ball does, and just again it faces up to the pocket beautifully, and that's why he strikes a lot.
And all that practice he puts in here at Castle Lanes pays off. All the tournaments he's been trying to bowl, and now finally made a TV show, and I'm sure we'll probably once the Action Heating and Cooling Series starts at Motion Plus Lanes in November, I'm sure we'll probably see him in a couple of those as well. Oh, she wasn't sure on that one when it was out of her hand, but got that 10-pin out. I think she thought it was going to go a little bit high on her.
Yeah, that's big right there now. You got a big 4-bagger, starts to open up the lead a little bit.
Yeah, 20 pins right now, and that 6-pin, no problem taking out the 10. You see there, hold.
Please, yeah, please help.
Home field advantage, maybe? I don't know about that, but
it's amazing how bowlers talk to their balls and the balls listen, Phil.
every once
Most
in a
of the
while.
time.
Yeah, every once in a while.
They do for me.
I need one. I need one with like a remote control and a couple of joysticks.
Oh, they make that. It's very
That's
expensive.
true. Yeah, I've seen that. And Jenny, a great shot bouncing back, keeping her team in it.
Back-to-back strikes for her.
Yeah, she's outstruck her partner so far this game. Who would have?
Yes.
You would have thought that coming in. So I mean, Jenny's been keeping it clean all day and
keeping them in there. And again, Brandon having problems with the left lane, Phil. Same as what Ryan had. So again, there we go. Here's the adjustment. I said you got to almost roll the dice here, Phil, and gamble. And he knows this ball is going to be more angular. So let's see what he does with it.
Yeah, needs to kick that 10-pin out, keeps it in the oil, but he gets the angle on the back end.
Yeah, even with that ball being a stronger back end reactant ball, it still didn't want to face up to the pocket, and lucky he got the Wally here.
This could be if both teams strike out, 255 to 245 match. Schwartz and Glass in the lead by 10 pins right now still.
He knew that was a big double there.
And can get that lead back out to 20 here if Andy can get his team the handful, 5 in a row.
Andy and Steph just got to keep thinking, well, we must keep continuing to strike. We got to keep matching what they're doing.
And that wiggled a little bit, and he just caught a hair carry down, it looks like, because you could see it hooked, kind of stopped and hooked again, and now you just got to make the spare and move on. You can't get upset about it.
Yeah, looking at the score, he knows, Phil. He knows it's going to be pretty close. And exactly that. You could just see the ball just didn't want to turn up to the pocket, and could possibly hit it like a foot or two section of carry down or oil carry down, and it's all it takes for the ball to not want to finish.
Well, my math was off before. It was 265 was the maximum before for Schwartz and Glass. Actually now that maximum is 244, but Rhett Mueller and Biondo, if they strike out, 245.
Yep.
So this is each bowler with 1 frame left.
And going into the 9th frame, which is the most important frame of the match, it's your foundation frame. Set up the 10th and flush 10 back, Phil.
This needs to be seen by every NCAA, NAIA college coach out there for women's programs.
Yeah, and she's doing it on the lane where Brandon is leaving the weak 10s and can't get the ball to finish, and that sink is just hooking right up for her, and just beautiful 10 back strike the last 2 times she's been up on that lane.
4 for 5 this match for Stephanie, and then that 1 open frame where she came up a little light and then crossed over the 2, 4, or 5.
And you don't think Jenny right now is feeling some pressure here to perform in the 9th?
Oh, strike here, you're back down by 20 at least, and kicks it out.
That is huge, Jenny. Just absolutely huge. Big shot for your anchor bowler going into the 10th. She did her job beautifully, too.
Nice strong roll. Watch that ball, just a hair deflection.
Slap that 10 right out, Phil.
Well, Brandon can strike out and lock out the other team. 245 maximum here.
And I still don't think he's comfortable yet on lane 9. Still getting away with the Wally, too, Phil.
Just sends that head pin in the 5 over to the left, gets that 7 pin out, and he knows. He's looking at that scoreboard. He knows 2 more strikes, and I'm walking out of here with my 3rd U Challenge Series title. Even though Jenny's 22, we'll give her credit for a U Challenge Series title.
Well,
even though she's a little old.
Yeah, I give him credit for rolling the dice. Sometimes you got to roll the dice. You know, I mean, 9 counts on this with the other team bowling, that's not going to win the match.
A little bit left out of his hand, but I think he wanted to do that. His release, he flattened it out a little bit. Knew he wanted to keep it a little straighter, get that strong roll through, and not have to worry about the shot before.
Yeah, that is your what we call 12th board high hard one. I mean, that one started at 12 and ended at 12.
Well, this is it. Strike is a win.
Yeah, all the beans right here.
9 leaves the possibility for a tie, and that's a little, that was a little farther right than his last shot, and he rings a 10. And he knows it coming back. Right. He's like, oops.
I think he's probably feeling to himself, I did pretty good for not really having very good ball reaction.
Yeah.
So I kind of got through it, but boy, this could be a tie.
That gut move in the 8th frame, the change over to that gold ball.
Mm-hmm. Rolling the dice. Yeah. Andy here, all 3 in the 10th for must tie, correct?
244 tie if he gets all 3 here in the 10th.
Wow, this is what you live for, Phil, for bowling.
Well, if he wants to bowl some more PBA stuff, this is the stuff he needs to get used to, and can't pure it any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get the wiggle that time, got the ball, trusted it a little right, hit friction, and solid, 10 back. He knows the score. He knows what he has to do.
If they do tie at 244, it is a single ball roll-off for each team member. We total up the team score. Whoever gets the highest team single ball score wins the match. If they tie after the first round, we do it again.
And these are situations why we practice and why we put the hours in that we do.
Nice roll up on that ball. Needs the face a little harder, and he gets the 7 out.
The Wally, that's huge. Absolutely huge. Again, that ball wiggled, Phil. You could see just hit that oil line just a little bit.
We're seeing all the kringle on this shot.
What a great match. And we knew starting off, Phil, what did I say? It was going to take 230 to win.
Absolutely. I mean, both these bowlers right now, you can just see Stephanie in the background looking over his shoulder, getting ready for their roll-off. She's got the confidence. She's stepping down a little bit. Andy, nice and deliberate. And oh, no, he came over the top of it. Oh, my. And he leaves a 5-pin on a crossover shot. Unbelievable. If he could take that one back in a heartbeat, there's no doubt he would.
I don't think anyone wants to go talk to him.
No, Stephanie comes down with a smile on her face, but
he's going to go kill himself.
He's not happy.
No.
We'll talk to the bowlers a little bit between you and I, and then Dwight and I will be back to wrap up the show from Castle Lanes and Racine in just a moment. What a great final match. Make sure you stay tuned for the wrap-up.
Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013.
near Miller Park on Bluemont Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee.
Well, as always, Dwight, every time it seems like we have a tournament here at Castle Lanes, the finishes are exciting. Last match, 10th frame, Brandon Biano steps up, can shut out his opponents, double and 9, leaves that door open just that little bit for Andy Glass. Andy comes through great with the first 2 shots, and just what happened the last shot, you think?
It's an oops. Nerves, whatever you want to call it. It's a simple oops in bowling. I mean, obviously you muscle the finish and you throw the right shoulder into the shot and you miss your mark 5 boards to the left. He was hoping and praying for the crossover. Didn't get it, but still, what a great, exciting match. Absolutely. I mean, 1 pin, 244, 243. What a great finish.
Hopefully we get another great finish coming to you for our next tournament. We're back with Youth Challenge Series bowlers coming to you from Classic Lanes in Greenfield again. Another great host, Gina Darashevsky as well. Great singles matches. We got boys and girls, and we're bringing back the challenge match for another show with the boys winner versus the girls winner, and you never know what's going to happen with those.
Absolutely. Anything can happen in a 1-game match. Obviously, you think the boys would win it. It's amazing how many times the girls end up walking away with the title.
So to be sure to join us on that next show from Classic Lanes in Greenfield, for my friend Dwight Albrecht, I'm Phil Brilo. Parents, take the kids bowling, they'll have fun for life, and we'll see you again on the next show from Classic Lanes in Greenfield.